So let's talk about the departure of Leroy Sane. Big news this week coming out of Manchester City, Emile. What message does that send out? A player in his prime turning his back on Pep Guardiola, on the Etihad. OK, he's returning home, isn't he? But going to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I think we're looking too deeply into turning his back on Pep Guardiola in the Premier League. You never know if it's something to do with family issues or anything. But again, he's a very, very talented young lad, and they'll be very disappointed they couldn't actually keep him, couldn't get him to sign a new contract, because you know his worth to the team and to the Premier League, to be honest with you. He's been a fantastic player for Man City, and still a young lad, to be honest with you. So they'll be disappointed in the fact that they're going to be losing one of their best players.
Yeah, has enough been made of his absence? People have been looking at the injury to Aymeric Laporte. We'll get on to Vincent Kompany not being at City in a moment. But Leroy Sane, no Premier League player made more assists in 2 seasons combined than when he was in full flow. How key has his absence been to City not retaining their title, Paul?
Yeah, you quite rightly say it's not really been talked about much, his absence. I mean, 2018, he was the Young Player of the Year, 10 goals and 15 assists, and he was left out of Joachim Löw's World Cup squad at that time. So there was question marks about him off the field as well, and Pep's alluded to that at times. But he's still only 24. I think, if I remember correctly, there was potentially a deal on the table for him at the beginning of this season, but they were talking like 140 million, I think they were talking, for him at the time. But he got injured in the Community Shield, which has kept him out for a long, long time. To lose a player of that quality with that amount of assists and that amount of goals, so much creativity in your team, it's obviously going to leave a hole in your team. But as you say, he's been missing for a while. But Pep never seemed to play him with Mendy on the left. I don't think he trusted him, and the fact that he's been willing to let him go with his defensive capabilities, I don't know if Pep was 100%, trusted him with the way that he played. There was something that wasn't right there. And if that is the case, and he has made noises he wanted to leave, and the manager was happy to let him go, 55 million, I think, in the region of, for a player coming into the last year of his contract, it was probably a deal that had to be done.
How much of a hindrance is it if you can't offer Champions League football to a player and you're looking for a replacement for Leroy Sane?
Massive hindrance, looking at, especially at the top level. They're not necessarily looking for wages and stuff like that. They're looking at what you can achieve. What can you give to me in a sense of trophies? And if you're not, the biggest one is obviously the Champions League. If you're not in the Champions League, well, why am I going to choose you over another club that is going to give me the same wages and the same everything, but they can offer me that? So that's a massive, massive hindrance in them going after the top prospects in the world.
Yeah. The problem is, and I guess it ties into Vincent Kompany as well, Paul, is you can have the money to spend, can't you? You can think you're buying the skill or the stature in the player, but what about that X factor of leadership and taking the team by the scruff of the neck that perhaps they've been missing with no Vincent Kompany this season? Can you put a price on that? Can you judge that just by statistics and watching a player?
You can't install that into a player. A player's either got that or they haven't. I've played with many players that have got those qualities, leadership qualities. Sometimes these type of players aren't necessarily the best player on the pitch, but they have these qualities that you need in a dressing room. They're kind of the player's manager, if you like. And you look back at teams of old, the dressing room used to have 3 or 4 type of players. You can see in Liverpool, you see Van Dijk. He's a leader. Henderson at Liverpool. They've got 2 or 3. Alisson, the goalkeeper, on the field. You look at Manchester City since they've left their company, it's left the hole. And the fact that Laporte's been missing for the majority of the season, you see what an impact he has when he plays. They've had to play Fernandinho at centre half, which, in my opinion, they've missed him in the holding midfield role. I mean, he's 35 now. He's coming into the last year of his contract. Sergio Aguero, the same. He's coming into the last year of his contract. It's going to be a really interesting transfer window to watch what Manchester City do, because I think it's a problem at the back that they have to address. Yeah, they've got Stones, Otamendi, Fernandinho has been playing there, Garcia has been playing there, but there's no real leader. There's no real, captain figurehead, if you like, at the back since Kompany's left, and that's something that they have been missing.
It seems everyone wants a Virgil van Dijk at the moment, Emile, don't they? Interesting, they didn't pursue that. They pulled out of what looked to be a two-horse race with United for Harry Maguire, another player who brings leadership qualities with him. How much do they need to go out and not just buy a player, but buy that X factor as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think Robbo touched on it there. You need someone who's going to be a leader. You need someone who will grab the game by the scruff of the neck and really start marshalling that defence around and pushing people around. We've seen it with Van Dijk. We've seen it with Liverpool. Have generally had that at the back with players over the years. So Man City, that's what they're missing. They've had Kompany, and Kompany has been that player that's really got them going and really got marshalled the defence and really pulled people around and give them that stability. Since he's left, they've tried different players, but they haven't really got that one player. Now they're playing with Fernandinho back there, who is a 35-year-old central midfielder. Is he capable of really doing that job? No, he's a stopgap, but they need to get someone in there to really marshal that defence. And again, why didn't they speak to Kompany when they knew Kompany was going? Why wouldn't they actually get someone in there to really take his mantelpiece? But it's a strange one. They haven't done it.
Yeah, 23 points could become 26 tonight. They've had more defeats this season, Paul, than the past two seasons combined. Manchester City. How far off Liverpool? How far off are they off that 100-point team that they used to be?
They've drifted since last season. The league table, without a doubt, shows that. And they're going to lose players this summer. We just talked there about the leadership qualities that are needed. It's going to be a big window for Guardiola. It's going to be very interesting as to see what budget is given, who comes, who goes, what's the ins and outs. But they do have to strengthen. I think this is going to be the first real big-ish overhaul of a squad, of a starting 11 that he's had. The Champions League is obviously going to be a huge focus for them this year. The potential of maybe not having that or being in that competition next season is going to be a big blow to them. And whether that's a blow when it comes to attracting new players or not, but that for them this year has to be a focus. But I do think it's going to be a very, very important window for them in strengthening not only the squad but their starting 11. We talk about Liverpool not necessarily being able to sign somebody who breaks straight into their starting 11. It'd have to be a very, very special player to be able to do that. Whereas Manchester City, I think they have 2 or 3 gaps in that starting 11 where they need a couple of big signings to reinforce that.
But we have to pay perhaps the same respect to Pep Guardiola and Manchester City that we have done so far on the football show to Brendan Rodgers and Leicester and Frank Lampard and Chelsea. Emile, if City were to go on and win the FA Cup and the Champions League, 3 trophies in a season, including the big pot in Europe, how successful a season would that be?
Look, I think they've still had a successful season. Like you're saying, they've won the League Cup. They're still in the FA Cup and the Champions League. And if they go on and win that, it's a wonderful season, winning the treble. So you still got to give them respect in that sense. But again, you're still talking about gaps that they can plug, players that they need in, and situations that they know they need new players in. So a wonderful season that they've had, to be honest with you. But it's funny that we're talking about them winning the treble, but it could be better. But this is where we see Man City. We put them on this pedestal of the way that they've played over the last 3-4, well, since Pep's come in, and they've done wonderful things: points tallies, goals scored, all sorts of records. And now we still see that they can actually be better.